Welcome to YQ Academy Serialization Java Interview Questions and Answers. 1. What is serial version UID and its importance in Java? The serial version UID is a unique identifier for a serializable class. It is a static final field that is used during the serialization and deserialization process. The serial version UID serves as a version control mechanism to ensure that the serialized and deserialized objects are compatible. Importance of serial version UID in Java serialization. 1. Versioning. The serial version UID helps to ensure version compatibility between the serialized objects and the corresponding class definitions. It allows you to control the serialization and deserialization process when the class structure changes. If the serial version UID of a serialized object matches the serial version UID of the class being used for deserialization, the deserialization process proceeds smoothly. However, if the serial version UID values do not match, an invalid class exception is thrown, indicating an incompatible class version. 2. Consistency. The serial version UID provides consistency in the serialized data. If the serial version UID is not explicitly defined in a class, the serialization mechanism computes it based on various factors such as the class name, implemented interface, and fields. By explicitly defining the serial version UID, you ensure that the same identifier is used consistently across different versions of the class, even if the automatic computation of serial version UID would result in different values. 3. Security. The serial version UID helps protect against certain security risks. When deserializing an object, the JVM checks the serial version UID to ensure that the serialized data is from a trusted source. If the serial version UID does not match, the deserialization process may be prevented to avoid potential security vulnerabilities. 2. What happens if we don't define serial version UID? If the serial version UID is not explicitly defined in a serializable class, the Java serialization mechanism automatically generates a default serial version UID based on various factors, such as the class name, implemented interface, and fields. When a serialized object is deserialized, the JVM compares the serial version UID of the serialized object with the serial version UID of the class being used for deserialization. If the serial version UID values match, the deserialization process proceeds normally. However, if the serial version UID values do not match, an invalid class exception is thrown, indicating an incompatible class version. If you don't define the serial version UID, it can cause compatibility issues when the class structure changes. For example, if you add, remove, or modify fields or methods in the class, the automatically generated serial version UID will be different, and deserialization may fail with an invalid class exception. By explicitly defining the serial version UID, you have control over the versioning of your serialized objects. It allows you to ensure compatibility between different versions of your class and avoid unexpected deserialization failures. It is recommended to define the serial version UID in your serializable classes, even if you don't plan to perform versioning, to provide consistency and stability in the serialization process. 3. Can we serialize static variables in Java? No, static variables cannot be serialized in Java. Serialization is the process of converting an object into a stream of bytes to persist it or transmit it over a network. static variables are associated with the class itself, not with individual objects. They are not part of the object state and are not serialized along with the object. During the serialization process, only the non-static fields of an object are serialized. When an object is deserialized, the static variables are not restored because they belong to the class, not to the serialized object. If you need to persist or transmit data associated with static variables, you would need to handle them separately, outside the scope of object serialization. 4. When we serialize an object, does the serialization mechanism save its reference to? No, when an object is serialized, the serialization mechanism does not save its reference. Serialization is the process of converting an object into a stream of bytes, which can then be stored in a file, transmitted over a network, or otherwise persisted. The serialization mechanism serializes the object state, which includes the values of its instance variables. During the deserialization process, when the object is reconstructed from the serialized form, a new object is created with the same state as the original object. The deserialized object is a separate instance from the original object, and it does not retain any reference to the original object or its memory location. In other words, serialization and deserialization create a new object with the same state as the original object, but they do not preserve the original object's identity or reference. 5. If we don't want some of the fields to serialize, how to do that? If you don't want some fields of an object to be serialized, you can mark them as transient. The transient keyword is used in Java to indicate that a field should not be serialized. When an object is serialized, all its non-transient fields are serialized, and their values are stored in the serialized form. However, any fields marked as transient are not included in the serialization process. When the object is deserialized, the transient fields will be initialized with their default values. Here's an example that demonstrates the usage of the transient keyword. In this example, the age field is marked as transient, so it will not be serialized when an instance of my class is serialized. During deserialization, the age field will be assigned its default value. Note that the transient keyword can only be applied to fields, not to methods or classes. Additionally, keep in mind that the transient fields will not be persisted during serialization, so if you need to maintain the value of those fields across serialization and deserialization, you would need to handle their values separately. This is the end of our Java interview questions. We hope you enjoyed learning with YQ Academy. Until next time, goodbye.